We are talking about the Osun governorship election, the reactions, the election held on Saturday, September the 20th. I have with me in the studio this morning two gentlemen, Samuel Adeola, a legal practitioner, and Ambrose Igboke, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Bose.
So the election has held. It's not yet over. As we await the rerun, the PDP is alleging that some individuals are inducing voters with 20,000 naira each, and other reactions are flying. We also have Senator Adeola Omishori, who was the second runner-up in that election, candidate of the SDP, who used to be in the camp of the PDP, now like the fine bride that both the APC and the PDP are wooing. Samuel.
That is the state of election for you. Sometimes the way you want it to go may not be the way that it has to be. The elections in Osun State just speak to one volume.
And what's that?
Don't take voters for granted. Don't just take them for it and believing that they will always be at your beck and call. They are wiring up. People are getting to know that they have rights, and they are now beginning to see that their thumb matters. Regardless of inducement, I was in Osun State. I cannot say there was none because I personally, during my period of moving around as an observer, I caught one or twice. But that is
which people now? Vote buyers?
Yes.
People trying to induce voters?
Yes. And actually even the ringleader, like, handed him over to the police before I left that polling unit.
Was anything done about that fellow?
How would I know?
Okay.
I'm an observer.
All right.
My own is to call the attentions of, I left the place because we were just going around, so I left that polling unit. It happens in Elisha East or something. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not well pronounced. It's not as pronounced as what you saw in Ekiti State. I think these people this time around, what they did was to overnight, trade away their PVC. I think each and everybody went to their area of stronghold and go to their opponent tabernacle to go and, tempt and induce those that are greedy among voters and collect their PVC. But be that as it may, that does not also take away the fact that the people of Osun State are disenchanted for one thing or the other against the ruling government of that state.
Well, let's get Ambrose's view. That election was declared inconclusive. How did you take that?
Well, Sam is a lawyer. The lawyers will deal with the legal technicalities of what has happened. But there are arguments from both sides. Lawyers are not agreeing to about one point about this. And one of them is, does the INEC have the powers to
is that part of the question
to
you
declare?
Is that the question?
Inconclusive.
Yeah,
we said what is his reaction to the election being declared inconclusive?
Being inconclusive.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. I thought you
No.
want to
I
see
posed
the
it to
gen-
him. I posed.
Okay.
So I said that
Inconclusive.
lawyers will- Now, some lawyers have argued that the INEC is dependent on its electoral act, while some are saying the constitution does not allow that. Now, when you juxtapose the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria and the the INEC Act, some lawyers are arguing that the Constitution supersedes that. And some people are saying there are precedences in other places like Kogi and some other places where INEC have declared elections inconclusive.
Or the scenarios, the circumstances.
Yeah, the lawyers are saying that just because they allowed INEC get away with it then does not make it right. That is still wrong. Therefore, the arguments are that once there are winners in an election, you declare that election winner. That INEC cannot assume the powers of the court to declare election inconclusive or not.
Now the PDP is heading to the courts.
Well, the PDP is heading to court, but again, they are preparing for the election on Thursday. So it's either the court. It's good they are heading to court. I mean, that makes it.
I don't know which court are they heading to.
They are heading to court. They have not said that they should make that announcement.
Which court?
They made the announcement that they are heading to court yesterday.
Which court?
So
are you talking about the general court or tribunal?
So they are
No,
taking
there's no
the matter
tribunal. There's no tribunal set there. The courts to court for the courts to determine.
I would like to help them free of charge. I would like to help them free of
Yes,
charge. You know why I want to help them
Why
free
do you
of
want to
charge?
help them?
So that they will not let any lawyers to deceive them and go for professional fees. There is a Supreme Court classicus that says any election matter cannot be brought before the regular court except tribunal.
Barrister Samuel Adeola, one of my guests, did mention we would like to read out a portion of the judgment of the Supreme Court with regard to the Kogi case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me have it, please.
Yes, the Supreme Court made it clear over these so-called inconclusive elections and the right of INEC to so do. And here the Supreme Court pronouncement there. The relevance of INEC's manual for electoral officers in the proper conduct of elections was acknowledged by this court in the case of CPC versus INEC 2011 LPELR 8257 Supreme Court at page 54, 55F, per Adekeye as it then was, GSC TOS. By force of law, Independent National Electoral Commission had the duty of conducting elections. Beside the constitutional provision, it is guided by Electoral Act 2010 as amended, and the election guidelines and manual issued for its officials in accordance with this act. This document embodied all steps to comply with in the conduct of a free and fair and each free election. Having discovered electoral malpractices in 91 polling units in the state, it was proper for the first respondent to consult and apply provision of his manual to determine the next course of actions in the circumstances. I do not agree with Chief Wole Olanipekun SAN with due respect that resort to his manual in the circumstance amounted to flagrant disregard of the supremacy of the Constitution provision as contained in Section 179, subsection 2. That put pay to the argument that the in Section 179, subsection 2 says that the person with the highest votes, it is the Constitution that gave INEC the power in 5th schedule of the power to organize, to conduct, and to see to the end of any election process in Nigeria.
So the point you're trying to make now is that INEC has the power to declare an
to
election
decide
inconclusive.
whether the election is conclusive or it is not conclusive according to the provision of the Electoral Act. Section 153 says that where there is a difference between the two contending parties, and the difference is minimal to the point that those registered that is not that is cancelled, those registered voters, the election was cancelled, has significant effect on those that the difference between the two contending parties, then the election has for rerun. The law is clear. There is no ambiguity. And if you ask me who is empowered to interpret even the Constitution, it is the court. And the highest body of the law and the judiciary in Nigeria today is the Supreme Court. So if the Supreme Court says that the INEC has power, even despite the provision of Section 179, subsection 2 that have been bandied around, then the Supreme Court has interpreted the power of INEC over that of the provision of Section 179.
All right, Sergeant, let's come to Ambrose. Now, Omisore is like the man of the people. APC wants him, PDP wants him. Each of these parties want to be declared winner of the coming elections. And of course, also there are allegations from different parties, especially now the PDP, which is alleging that some parties are inducing voters with 20,000 naira each.
The Osun case, I know, we're here during the election on Saturday to give some analysis, and when the process started, we actually hailed it as being peaceful because there have been no violence. Even till now, we have not witnessed serious violence yet. But the way it turned out made us start thinking, were we hasty in our conclusions? Barrister Sam here has said a lot of things and taking a stand. Well, lawyers like him too. That's why who are we? We are not learned gentlemen, but learned friends.
No, that's not my stand. I didn't take any stand.
Okay, you are taking.
I just read out the Supreme Court classical judgment on the same and similar scenario.
Fine.
Because in your prologue the other time you said, because they said there are precedents that because INEC has been doing it does not make it right. But I am now putting it to you that the INEC was doing it the INEC was not doing it because they have allocated that power to themselves, but because of the Supreme Court judgment that is still valid. And in accordance, if I finish reading that, the Supreme Court judges said that except the Land Council want them to overrule themselves over that which they have already given.
As you have said,
it is not my statement, it's the Supreme Court
statement. As you have said, it's the courts that have the final say. So you lawyers should stop confusing us, the laymen, because another set of lawyers says something else. Another set of lawyers says something else. Bringing out different interpretations also by the courts. I get to the point. So I think this thing should not be tested once more in the court. PDP said they will go to court. I wish they will let them go to the court and sort this out also. Then talking of them, there were some figures being bandied around. Because in the 7 polling units they are talking about, some people said that the number of registered voters could be 300,000 something as said by INEC. But the number of accredited voters were far less than that, was like 306. So all kinds of gymnastics, legal gymnastics, and all kinds of sentiments are being brought to the table. And I think the best way to interpret it is the court. And that's why they should run it through. And then any party that is not comfortable with it should go to the tribunal after the election. I think that's where it should go. And then for Mishori, what is the beautiful bride right now? APC is
my perception
but
is
my question is, does Mishori has the powers to influence his followers and actually tell them to vote for a particular candidate? Well, that answer leaves to be we leave that to the imagination, because Thursday is very close by. It's like 48 hours away. But when you go, they are now trading up a lot of things that will cause problem later. Because if you say the PDP is giving, because we heard that from the grapevine that they are going to give him a senatorial slot in Osun State, and now there are PDP members who are already there who are angling for that. If you give it to him, what happens? Then other kinds of dichotomy, other kinds of problems will start. Intra-party problems will also start from there. Now APC is also going there talking to him. So, but first of all, does he have the powers? Does he have that influence to actually make his voters, people who are supporting the party SDP, to pander to APC or PDP?
Many believe that if he could poll as many votes as he did, and it was quite a tough contender, against the APC and the PDP, they feel he's got some weight.